Hello, welcome to Truck Stop Murder and True Crime Podcast. I am your host, Gary Howard, and it's been a while since I've got on here and put out an episode and been busy doing things, trying, better this show. Got me a website up now, so anything you might want to do, I'm still working on it and, finalizing things, trying to figure out how to do certain aspects of it, trying to put my podcast so you can just go to there and listen to it. I mean, you still could go to iTunes and iHeartRadio and all the other places. But this way you could go there and all my social media, emails, and everything will be on there. But it's truckstopmurder.com. So I'm excited about that. So I've been busy doing that. Also, I've just been a little rut lately. Numbers just not as good as I was hoping it. But you know what? That's fine. I let it get to me. I was upset that my numbers are not growing. I've been doing this for a while. I know it's my own fault. Got to be consistent. But I guess I should be happy even if I have my one listener, my wife, which she loves it. Yep, Desra loves my show. So, if anything, I'm doing this for you. I enjoy this, but hopefully everybody else enjoys this as well. But today I had a couple other, plus I had a couple other cases that I wanted to do, but there were just too much information on them. So I'm still working on them. So I decided to go back in order like I've set them up in the past, where I did kind of go in order as I drive through them. Now I know I'm not been going with that order, but I'm eventually once I find cases I like to cover, I might divert from that, do something around there, then go back in my order. So this is the one I had planned on doing, but then decided to do other ones. So with further ado, the truck stop I was at was in Haiti, Missouri. Place is called Rhodey's Haiti Travel Center, which is on I-55 exit 19, which I'd have to say they definitely improved. You'll see on the reviews a lot of people did not like the parking lot on it. But at first when I went there, yeah, they were correct about that. But the last time I was there, they actually they paved out so it was a lot smoother. Matter of fact, when I drove in there, I was wondering if I was actually in this place. Then again, maybe I don't even know if I'm in talking about the right place or not. I might be thinking of another place, but I'm pretty sure that's the place that I pulled into. I was like, wait a second, where's all the holes? But now down the street in Marion, there's a truck stop that is like that. It was horrible. But we're not talking about that truck stop. Matter of fact, I can't even go there. The holes are so bad. But we're talking about Rhodey's Haiti Travel Center on I-55 exit 19. Like I said, I'm going to be driving by there later on today. Right now, I'm actually in New Caney at the Flying J's. And people don't like this place. There's a 1.8 star ratings, over 118 reviews. Right now, on the information I'm giving you right now is from Trucker's Path. And right now, there's lots of spots as of an hour ago. And I'm recording this 9:46 Central Time. And that was one day ago when it was Trucker's Path updated at $3.05 a gallon for diesel. Don't have a price on DEF. Says it has 60 parking spots, but I bet you could fill more overnight parking. There's only 2 showers, Wi-Fi, scales, ATM, of course. But yeah, this is one of your typical truck stops that I've talked about, that when you see on movies and diners, but this don't have a diner. I mean, it has this chicken, I believe. But if you're there, driving by there, and you want some food, there's Los Portales Mexican restaurant right across the street. There's a 3.5 rating. And Chubby's Barbecue, which is about a quarter mile. Anything above that, you would have to travel. Anything other than that, you have to travel. Like I said, I think they have their truck stop food. Like if you want like some chicken strips, chicken wings, and different things like that, they have that breakfast. And I wish I remember what the coffee was, because I would like to say that, because I had some coffee in my home where I park at, because I'm just coming off of home time right now. Home. And I keep forgetting the truck stop I park my truck at has horrible coffee. Ugh. But I do have good coffee now. So let's see what people think about this place. Alex, Aleks, thinks this is what he gave it a 2-star rating. El Bandidos throwing M80s at trucks driving fast in with El Caminos. Not sure if this is common in Mexico, but we need our 10 for safety reasons. Hopefully, no tornadoes come through today. I don't know if I would give it a 2-star review. I would have given it a 1. Had to fight through artillery shells or M80s. Anonymous vote user says misleading fuel price, actually $3.15 a gallon. So maybe I gave you wrong information. That's what it says on Trucker's Path. Okay, Road Badger gave it a 4-star. 4 stars for spacious parking and the Mexican place right across the street. The store itself is mediocre. 2-star review from Toy. Diesel price $2.99 like any other place. Not worth it if you're owner operator, but sometimes it's at a decent price. They have a Subway. I guess they do. They didn't have that listed, but there's a Subway there. Obviously, I haven't been to this truck stop in a while, so I don't remember. But Subway. So there you go. A lot of truck stops have Subway. The parking place is very muddy most of the time. Jack Kernvik, with another 4-star review. There's still some spots, but he's just pretty much giving an update. 11:50 p.m. about some spots. Really bad diesel. To 1 star, really bad diesel. I'm going 2 miles less than my previous fuel. Okay, maybe you need some tune-ups or something wrong with your truck. Maybe, I don't know. Just making theories about why his truck lost 2 miles per gallon. I don't know, or just 2 miles. He don't say I'm doing 2 miles less. Is that overall, or he didn't say if it's 2 miles per gallon or 2 miles over? So if you be able to drive 1,000 miles, now he's only getting 998. He didn't say that, so who knows? 2 stars. Pros: available parking late into the night and very well lit. Cons: huge potholes everywhere, filled with water. No idea how deep they are. Freaking ridiculous that the owner does absolutely no parking lot maintenance. Beware drivers. Okay, another 1-star diesel 209. 1 star from Easy Money. Owner is just plain greedy. I'm just gonna get a carton of smokes, but I was gonna get a carton of smokes, but since they charge full drink price for ice, I'll go down the street and get it. I wonder if he bought the ice first and then decide, didn't say nothing about packing, carton of smokes. Say, hey, I want to buy a carton of smokes, and then I don't know. Maybe they would have gave it to him for free if he was buying a carton of smokes, especially with cigarettes these days, how much they cost. So, no pay at pump. 1 star. Dirt lot with a lot of big potholes. Looks so filthy outside that I didn't bother to go in. Rolled back to the other side of the interstate to Pilot. Oh, yeah, there's a Pilot across on the other side. I think there's another truck stop. I don't know the name of it right now. But there's also one across the street that has some parking. 4 star, not too bad of a lot. People coming and going all night. Well, no, that's the exclamation mark. They have a church there. The food is okay, but as good as everyone says, it is a bathroom. Okay, lot of parking. Okay. I've been 1 star. I'm gonna go just for a few more. I'm almost done. Just about a few more. I've been driving for 15 years, and in those 15 years, this place by far is the rudest staff. And this place might have cheap diesel, but everything else is garbage store, is dirty, horrible employees, and expensive stuff. One guy just said no laundry. 2 more reviews. GBs. That's how he started off. GBs. Jeeb. G-Bus. GBs. I'm guessing GBs. Geebus. Tapajos. Some you could lose a full-size Suburban, and I may or may not have been seen the back half of a school bus. I may or may not have seen the back half of a school bus sticking out of that one. Lots of spots, but it's a mud hole. And the final one, pothole so big they put Volkswagens in it to fill. Like I said, if I remember right, I drove through there a few times, and they are correct. The potholes are outrageous when I first started driving a truck, because I've went through 55 so many times. It's like a regular route for trucks, I guess. I mean, I forgot to turn my phone off so it don't start ringing. Yeah, I forgot to turn. Sometimes I forget that I have my phone on, and I don't want to be interrupted with phone calls or messages. And I've been getting a lot of bot calls, so it's off now. So no interruptions. But the case that I'm covering today, it kind of interesting. When it kind of reminds me of the last one I did. I can't think of the asshole's name, but the poor couple that was in Tennessee where he got jealous and wouldn't just not go away and was set his wife and girlfriend on fire. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go look at it. Go find up. It was in Tennessee, and some guys just can't take the hint. It's been a while since I did that, so I don't quite remember. I guess I could have looked it up before, but it's an interesting one. But this is similar to this one, where a guy just cannot take the hint. There's plenty of women out there. You don't have to really, I guess, the dominance over a female. He was once a control issue, or just so low self esteem about himself. Maybe he don't think he can get somebody else. I don't know. I've been fortunate. I've been with my Desra for this May 11th will be 20 years, and she won't go away. No, I'm joking. She probably thinks, oh, hopefully I'll go away. But no, we're still together. Had a good time with her. Went to go see my friend Chad's band play at the 59 bar right on in Porter, Texas. So if you ever driving through Porter, Texas, and you want to stop for the night or have a few drinks, head over to the 59. It's right there on 1314. And if you want some smokes, you go right next door. They sell some tobacco products, cigars, vape, and CBD, and all that good stuff. So you can have your smoke. Go next door. It's a beer bar. So hotel right across the street. Because I know Robin and I would love for your business to go there, but we also want you to drive responsible. So do that. And yeah, we had a good time. They had a grand opening. Crawfish boil. Amazing crawfish. But the drink is good. So the person I'm talking about right now, the guy who just could not take a hint, was Russell Bucklew. So apparently he did not want to live apart from Stephanie Ray. The two had lived together in Cape Canaveral. I know I'm going to pronounce this wrong. Maybe I should pause this to get a pronunciation guy. But Cape Girardeau County until Ray decided to break up with Buckley. I'm going to call her Ray because Stephanie decided, no, I'm going to call her Stephanie, that's her name, Buckley, on Valentine's Day of 1996. But Bucklew left their mobile home and went to live with his parents. On March 6th, Bucklew returned to the trailer he had shared with Ray. Found Michelle Sanders, in the case. There included their Sanders and Ray were, Michael Sanders. Found Michael Sanders. Concluded that Sanders and Ray were romantically involved, put a knife to Sanders' throat, and threatened to kill Sanders if Sanders ever came back to Michelle's trailer. I don't know why I got their last names, but I'll correct that next time. Later that same evening, Bucklew returned to the trailer, found Michelle alone. I'm gonna leave her name, Michelle. I'll just change it as I read it. Threatened her with a knife, cut her jaw, and punched her in the face before leaving. Michelle reported all this to the police. Russell called Ray at work. Michelle the following day, March 7th. He threatened her again and promised to kill her, Sanders, Michael, and her children if he saw her with Michael again. Russell moved in with Michael fearing to return to. She did not want to go home no more because he's been there twice. So what makes you think he's not going to come back in? By the way, Michelle didn't have nothing. I looked it up. I didn't find nothing where they did have a romantic relationship. Michael Sanders was a single father, had like a few kids of his own. I guess he had. I couldn't find nothing about his separation or wife or nothing about him. I tried to find information. I just couldn't find. But, so sometime during the night on March 20th or 21st, Russell stole his nephew's car, two of his brother's pistols, two sets of his brother's handcuffs, and a roll of duct tape. He left a note asking for his family not to report the threat to the police. So by the afternoon of March 21st, Russell began following Michelle as she left for work and ran errands, just stalking her. Ultimately discovering where, because he didn't know where she was at the time, because he knew that she wasn't gonna coming home, but she did not know where she was going. So he decided just to watch her, stalk her around to see where she went at the end of the day. Ultimately discovering where she lived by following her to Michael's trailer. So Russell waited for some period of time before he knocked on the trailer door. One of Michael's children opened the door. Michael saw Buckley through the window, escorted the trailer into a back bedroom, and grabbed a shotgun. Because he knew this was not going to be well, because I suppose she's already been telling him why she was there and a little bit, about him. So Russell entered the trailer with a pistol in each hand, fucking pistol Pete in it. So Michael came to the hallway carrying a shotgun, but Russell yelled, "Get back!" and without further warning began shooting at Michael. Michael fell, struck by two bullets, one which entered his chest and tore through his lung. Michael dropped the shotgun and went off and blew a hole in the trailer wall. Now, there's nothing that stated that hit anybody, so that's good. So Russell aimed the shotgun at hit Michael's head, but when he saw this is when it gets crazy. When he saw his 6-year-old, I mean, it was already crazy, but I don't know what this little kid did anything. But when he saw his 6-year-old son, he fired at the boy instead, and luckily missed. So Michelle stepped between the two guys, between Michael and Russell, who was holding his chest as he slumped against the wall. Russell invited Michelle to drop to her knees and didn't say why, so I'm guessing give him a blowjob. When she delayed, or shoot him in the head, I don't know. They never stated. I'm assuming tried to give him a blowjob. I'm guessing when I get into the later notes. He struck her in the face with a pistol. He produced handcuffs, handcuffed her hands behind her back, and drug her out of the car. The two drove away. Then the journey that follows, Russell demanded sex. This strong girl, fuck you. I'm not giving you shit. So all the acts he demanded was not performed. So finally, Bucklew brought him to a secluded area and raped her in the back seat of the car, and then resumed the journey. So he drove north on I-55. By this time, the enforcement authorities had broadcast the description. They already found everything that happened in the house. The police was called and a description of his car. So when Trooper James Hendricks saw the car, called for assistance and began following. This ultimately ended up in a big, huge gunfight. Everybody got shot, but nobody died. I think Michelle got shot in the leg. And I think the police officer did get shot too. No, I'm saying I think like I didn't know. The police officer did get shot, but not too bad, not severe. I think Russell got the worst of it. He ended up going to the shotgun. Bucklew was wounded by gunshot as well. And also, by the way, Michael Sanders, they did not get to him in time. He ended up, luckily I guess this unintentionally, his son saved his life. But if the police would have got there a lot sooner, he probably would have lived. But he ended up bleeding to death from his wounds. So, like I said, he was in the hospital. So while in the hospital, the trooper read Russell his rights and asked if he wished to give a statement at the time. And of course, he declined, and the trooper immediately left. The police waited 5 days until after treatment and released from the hospital. Pretty much, they didn't release him; they handed him over to authorities because of all that. But he was released from there, so they brought him back to the station and approached him again, read him his fresh Miranda rights, and asked him if he would like to give a statement. At this time, he said yes, executed a notice of waiver, and gave a videotape statement. The case that closely paralleled the fact is that after, let me see, I'm already getting ahead of myself. But anyhow, later on, this was going to pop up in the court system because about this situation right here where he was asked again. But the consequences of the case that closely parallel the facts here is that after a suspect is initially invoked the rights to remain silent, the police are not indefinitely precluded from asking whether the suspect has changed his mind or wants to talk. So they can always come back later. But at the time, they have to stop. Now they could just like he said, you feel like talking, nope, okay, and that's it. But he did say yes. So factors courts weighing determine whether the right to remain silent has been honored include whether the police immediately seized the interrogation upon defendant's request. Two, whether they resumed question only after the passage of a significant period of time and provided fresh Miranda warnings. There you go. You have to give that every single time. Whether the object of the subsequent interrogation was to wear down the suspect's resistance and make him change his mind so they didn't harass him as soon as he said he didn't want to talk no more, and how many interrogators was undertaken, and whether questioning involved the same crime. Here, each factor supports that the police, honored his rights. They did not do nothing wrong in this situation. Bucklew claimed that his medical condition at the time of the videotape statement rendered the statement unknowing and unintelligently fails. The videotape begins with Bucklew stating that he earlier received Miranda rights and signed a written waiver. Thus, he clearly was informed of his rights, and his waiver was knowing. Russell also understood these rights. That is, his waiver was intelligent, so he knew everything. There was nothing wrong with it. He was aware what he was doing. Russell was articulate and alert throughout the taping, speaking clearly, providing details, and offering reasons for a given statement. So Russell did not make an actual ambiguous, nothing. He did not ask for counsel during the time. He just decided to question. But assume it was error to admit the video. Say if they, by the time and I'll get to that. But even if they said this was on error and failed it, the court refused to exclude the statement would at most constitute harmless. It wouldn't be harmless error. The overwhelming evidence supporting each element of first-degree murder through Michelle's eyewitness testimony was good enough. So even without the confession, they had him. So let's see. Back to where Russell was charged. Russell was charged with first-degree murder, kidnapping, first-degree burglary, found two aggravating circumstances, and recommended the death sentence. The trial court sentence, of course, was found guilty, and the jury and judge said, "Be gone with you, asshole. The death penalty go," and the judgment is affirmed. So on appeals and everything, one of the things they had big sections over this about how he felt like he should have had an attorney there, that he was coerced into the statement he made. But with the videotape and everything like that, it did not show none of the issues. So that was one of his appeals. And of course, with all the information I told you, I read that before I gave the charges. They didn't buy that. They did not buy that at all. So that's standard. Another one he stated was he was trying to talk about how the aggravating circumstances should not have been left in, because they said the kidnapping, because in most cases you have to have a murder. Anytime there's a murder, there's supposed to be aggravating circumstances. But they said they're trying to say the murder was connected. So if you go rape somebody, then murder them, capital murder, or if you rob somebody, as long as you murder somebody in the commission of an act of violence, that's the aggravating circumstances. So they tried to tell that when the penalty phase, because he was guilty, there's no way around that. But during the penalty phases, the trial court did not err. They said they did not err in accepting jury sentence in recommending. The jury's word was used as verdict that did not conform exactly to the instructions. Neither the trial court nor Russell's counsel caught the discrepancies in the language of the jury's finding. Review is for plain error. The jury addressed the question whether it believed beyond a reasonable doubt that Russell committed the murder and other crimes listed in the same transaction as the murder. They did not intend for the aggravating circumstance to apply only where the jury finds that the murder occurred, as it initially just for a lesser crime. They're trying to give. I don't know why I can't read my notes. Accidentally joined together with the crime. The purpose of this aggravating circumstance is not to require the jury to sort out which came first, so if it was the kidnapping came first or the murder came first, but to permit the jury to determine if the defendant was participating to a multiple crime event. In finding that Bucklew committed kidnapping and burglary during Sanders' murder, they found the multi-crime event necessary to support the aggravating circumstance. Bucklew claims that he completed the murder of Michael Sanders prior to beginning of the kidnap of Stephanie, and thus could not have committed murder while perpetrating the kidnapping. The aggravating circumstances is neither time nor cause specific. So as long as it happens, that's too bad. You kill a person and then you kidnap them, but who says that you weren't? That wasn't your plan altogether. And one of the reasons why they say that. Oh, before I go any further, I haven't got to there yet. But with some of the statements, like Ray's statements, when she, Stephanie actually witnessed. This is another thing why they didn't need a statement. He testified to every element of the first degree. She described the details how Russell entered Sanders' home, Michael's home, with a pistol in each hand, walked down the hall, and shot Michael. She told the jury that no fight or argument proceeded, between the shooting. He just came in and shot him. Michelle testified that Bucklew then pistol whipped her, breaking her jaw, knocking her to the kitchen floor in a semi-coherent condition. She told that Bucklew handcuffed her and took her from Michael's trailer as her children cried. She testified, by the way, her children was there too. She testified that Russell found it funny that he had killed Michael and that he knew he was dead because he had used hollow point bullets, and that it was so far out in the country. They were so far out in the country they'll rip through him, and it would kill him before anybody had a chance to help him. Ray told the jury that Russell demanded oral sex from as they drove. So, and I'm baffled about that. And why do people who rape women want oral sex? I'll be afraid they're gonna bite the thing off. That's crazy. Then the pain, everything. It's maybe, I don't know, but it gives you a chance. So, ladies, go ahead and put it in your mouth and just bite. But wait till he gets into a little bit, and then later, if you can get out of there, and if you do crash, you might have saved your life. Get out of there, little bumps and bruises. He's gonna have a pussy. Well, he is a pussy. But Bucklew took her to a secluded spot, put a gun to her head, and raped her while her hands were taped in front of her body. She explained the chase by the highway patrol and told of Russell's words and actions during the chase. From her testimony alone, a reasonable jury could just by her testimony alone, they could find reasonable doubt that Russell knowingly took Michael Sanders' life after deliberating upon the matter. The points are denied from there. No, it was. I get premeditation also could be a sign, type of it, because if you premeditated it, that also could be part of the capital murder case. They could use that even if there's no robbery, rape, or anything like that. If you premeditated it for a while, you had opportunity to not do it, but you followed through. So therefore, first degree murder or capital murder. And so let's talk about aggravating circumstances. What the jury has to find in certain cases to be considered for capital murder, or what is capital murder here in Texas. I think it's first degree murder here, but Bucklew charges the trial court with error in accepting the jury's sentence recommendation because the jury failed to indicate that it found the statement aggravating circumstance beyond a reasonable doubt. He claims these errors violates his right due process guaranteed by the Fourth Amendment and his right to be free of cruel and unusual punishment, which I will go into that. That's the Eighth Amendment guaranteed by the Eighth Amendment as applied to the states through the Fourth Amendment. The trial court instructed the jury that it must find aggravating circumstances beyond a reasonable doubt, and that in determining the punishment to be assessed under count 1, first degree murder, yes, it is first degree murder, against the defendant for the murder of Michael H. Sanders, you must first unanimously determine whether one or more of the following aggravating circumstances exist. So, whether the murder was while the committed. Wait, let me start this. Whether the murder of Michael H. Sanders was committed while the defendant was engaging in a perpetration of kidnapping, or whether the murder of Michael H. Sanders was committed while the defendant was engaging in the preparation of burglary, or whether the murder of Michael H. Sanders was committed while the defendant was engaged in the preparation of rape. The jury found that Russell Bucklew committed the crime of kidnapping during the murder of Michael H. Sanders. So it happened at the same time. Russell Bucklew committed the crime of burglary during the murder of Michael. So the purpose of these aggravating circumstances is not to require that the jury sort out which came first, riddle, but to permit the jury to determine if the defendant was participating in a multiple crime event, which he did. If the jury finds a multiple crime event, the minimum, therefore, is for imposition of the death penalty. Is crossed, and jury may find that the defendant deserves a more severe sentence compared to others found guilty in murder. So most people with murder, that's more because of aggravating circumstance and multi-crime. But if it was just murder itself, he probably could have got life without parole or with parole. So in finding that Bucklew committed kidnapping and burglary during the murders of Michael Sanders, the jury found the multiple crimes event necessary to support the aggravating circumstances outlined on everything I told you. So that point was denied. You are still going to fry, sir. Well, death penalty, you're going to get an electric chair, and that brings up his another issue right here. But first, when they're talking about the premeditation, they talked about a phone call that the one that while she was at work, and they try to say that should be admissible in court because Bucklew does claim that the trial court erred in overruling his objection and request for a mistrial because of alleged prosecutorial discovery. Bucklew claims that the state failed to remove the substance of a phone conversation between Bucklew and between Russell and Stephanie. Stephanie testified at a telephone conversation on March 7th, 1996, where Russell threatened her life, the lives of her children, and the murder of Michael Sanders. So, Beck, I was talking about the pre-medication requires a stay upon motion to provide, this is what it is. And this is fair. I could do understand. The defenses can't be holding on to stuff until the prosecution can't hold on to stuff until, and it goes vice versa, and just bring it up at the last second. They have to show each other what each other has, and then have the other, the defense have time to adjust for that. So any defense to provide defense with, requires a stay upon motion to provide defense with any written or recorded statement of the substance of oral statements made by the defendant. This duty is disclosed, is not discriminatory, and is continuing. So I don't know what that means, but I got it in my notes. The trial prosecutor asked Ray about a phone call that she received Michelle about a phone call received from Russell while she was at work. The defense counsel objected, and both counsels approached the bench. I wish I had a second person, so I could have done this with a second person. So I'm going to try some with my computer. There's another reason why I kind of went back to it, because I want to see how that works. So no, I'm not going to do that. I have a different voice thing where it's a woman. I'm not going to do that. But defense, I just wanted to specifically object to the contents of the phone calls as evidence and other crimes are irrelevant to the charges that we're trying. Prosecution, I expect the answer to be that he told her that he was going to kill her and the children and cut the children up in front of her. The court, the objection overruled. Okay, so back in open court. Stephanie, would you go ahead and describe the jury that Russell told you that the phone call March 7, 1996, he said that he knew I'd been cheating on him and that he would, if he ever seen Michael around me again, that he said he'd kill him and me and all the kids. So he said that he'll kill us all is that what he said? And of course, objection. The defense, I'm sorry, but I believe the statement that she just made included a threat towards Mike, and I believe the contrary to what the expected testimony was. I mean, I don't think she said the phone call previously claimed that the phone call included a threat towards Mike. prosecution. There's something you could impeach about her. Wait, there's something you could impeach about her that the first time I heard it too. So they didn't hear it too. This is a question she put out there. So the defense also, my objection is the statement of the defendant hasn't been disclosed under Rule 25 because she's claiming that in this phone call at Camino, the place of work where Michelle worked at, there was a threat against Mike. I believe that's what she said. Prosecution said, I can only disclose what I have been told, and I have. You can't impeach that. So, court, objections overruled. As the defense asked for a mistrial, and no mistrial given. So, the statement's in, the phone calls, and everything like that. So, of course, the execution's going on. They already something. But while this was going on, I found that during this time while he was in jail, I guess he decided he didn't want to be there no more. So an inmate, so at the jail he was at, the county jail was recaptured. So he was recaptured on the Wednesday after in Cape Canaveral after he stole a truck and assaulted. Let me start over again. And this is what it says on the newspaper I read. An inmate who escaped Monday night from the Cape Girardeau County Jail was recaptured Wednesday afternoon in Cape Girardeau. After he stole a truck and assaulted a couple, authorities believe that escaped Russell Bucklew, 27, was put in a garbage bag with the help from other inmates who one is a trustee, and I don't think he's a trustee anymore. The bag was then put inside a garbage can and taken outside the jail. Bucklew, who weighs about 90, so he's a little dude, 90 pounds, is awaiting trial for the murder and was captured and was sentenced some more time. What did he get? Let's see. I got these somewhere. But he was actually charged with another 90, like a life in prison. I forgot how many. I need to look that up. Okay, I apologize. I couldn't find it. I'm getting ready to go to and do another load right now, so. But it's relevant. He got like 40 years for jail. But what we're talking about is the murder. This is the one that was upheld. Everything. So just in case if he did, either way, he's spending the rest of his life in jail. But he tried to get out, but it did not work out well for him. He was caught. They put him out with the trash. But he did. Trash leaving trash. So the court has upheld the death sentence when a victim was murdered in front of his children, where the murder occurred while engaged in a preparation or attempted preparation of a burglary in the victim's home, and where the defendants fired multiple shots to murder. Russell was a violent prior and persistent offender with an abusive past. So this is not his first encounter with the law. The nature of his crimes, the history of the defendant, and the strength of the evidence supports the death penalty. So be gone with you, asshole. You will still die. So, and they also said with the future, he's a dangerous, because they actually tried to, said he was a changed man. The state did not fail to disclose that. It would argue that Buckley would be dangerous in the future. They would argue that even if incarcerated, that given the death penalty to Bucklew would deter others from committing similar murders, and that was victims, and that there was the victim impact. We were talking about all the victims during the court. The state disclosed aggravating circumstances more than 9 months prior to trial, which included victim impact and Bucklew's antisocial criminal history. So nobody liked him. The state also filed disclosure of a non-stationary aggravating circumstance that listed 21 previous offenses. But so we got all that stuff done with, and he admitted but he's trying to claim that the use of the at the time the Missouri was using a three not I want to say prong for some reason. It's not 3-prong, but 3 injections. He was trying to say that it was cruel and unusual punishment. So according to the Bucklew versus case about this, it was the United States Supreme Court regarding the standards for challenging methods of capital punishment under the 8th Amendment in the United States. In a 5-4 decision, the court held that when a convict sentenced to death challenges the state method of execution due to claims of excessive pain, the convict must show that other alternative methods of execution exist and clearly demonstrates that they would cause less pain for the state. Than I'm stuttering. They would cause less pain than the state determined one. The court's opinion empathized the fourth prior decision, and I don't know why I'm also I think I'm rushing through it. So anyhow, in March '96, Russell murdered Michael Sanders, whom his former girlfriend Stephanie took shelter in a backup. You know the whole story about that. Challenges that during his period, Missouri as well as several other states changed its protocol for death sentence by lethal injection to a combination of drugs. Missouri itself had cleared this change through the court, so from 2006 and 2010, only 2 inmates was executed. Russell and other convicts with death sentences across the country attempted to legally challenge states' refusal of these protocols besides lethal injection through courts, arguing that was a violation of the Eighth Amendment that ultimately results in the Blaze and Rays decided by, that's a court decided in the Supreme Court in 2008, where it was determined that lethal injection by drugs was constitutional and did not violate the Eighth Amendment. The further Blaze established a test for future challenges to methods of execution under the Eighth Amendment, in that inmates must show a feasible another alternative procedure that would significantly reduce a substantial risk of severe pain, which is the decision of the case. But in short, what they're saying is that, and I do agree with them. I don't want to be saying that we should be monsters like them. But when they say excessive, the Eighth Amendment, what it's saying excessive, that means you will not be tortured, you will not be drowned, you will not. But it doesn't say nothing in the Eighth Amendment that there'll be no pain. It will not, and does not state a painless death. And if you don't research it, I've actually started, looked into it. I never even thought about that before. I know that, like before, even hanging, you can actually see. And with the 3 drugs, I don't know the name, but the first drug actually puts you to sleep. And what they do is they don't just give you the first drug and then go on row with the next 2. They wait till you pass out. Then they give you the other ones. Now with the one drug, I think I did a case. There have been some situations where they did give it to him, and there have been a lot of issues. I think Arkansas was the case where the guy pretty much suffocated to death. But with that also being said, he actually had a medical condition that caused the blood clots to him. So they're afraid that with his medical condition that he would actually drown in his own, clot, and he will suffocate to death instead of the drugs taking hold of him. So that was one of the things they really fought, went all the way to the Supreme Court, which failed. They said, nope, there's no way we could, we'll put you to sleep, you'll fall asleep, and then we'll put the drugs in. That will kill you. So, Missouri prison officials executed. So, on the day he died, he was 51, was convicted of first-degree murder, kidnapped, a first-degree burglary in 1997. He was pronounced dead at 6:23 on, and I didn't write that date down, but in 2019. I think I did. Let's see. Alright, I do apologize. I guess I should have been more prepared than I was, actually. It's been a while, so it'll get better, I promise. But he was executed on March 1st, 2019, at the age of 51 in Bonne Terre, Missouri. And of course, this was after the murder of Michael Sanders on March 21st, 1996. But yep, they said that, 1 second, on my computer act up. The former, county prosecutor Morley, who tried Bucklew, said the death was very peaceful. The reporter who witnessed the execution said that she could see Bucklew on a gurney with a white sheet on his chest. Bucklew was looking away from the viewing room. And she said, in fact, one more thing if y'all want to know this. I couldn't find no last words, but I did see what his last meal was. before lethal injection in Bonterre in 6:23 local time yesterday the other day. His final meal, the murderer ordered a gyro sandwich, a smoked brisket, 2 orders of French fries, and a cola and banana Smith. Which I don't know. I know some people like to hear what they eat, but I don't think they should get a death. This is my opinion. I do not think that death row inmates should get a last meal. I don't care. Do their victims get a last meal? Usually, if they're on death row, it's for anything other than just espionage, something against the government. But they did not give their victims last meal. So why should they? In fact, yeah. Now I'm getting into my own personal views and opinions on this, and this is about the facts, the best I can give it. But they said that it was fine. Activists were concerned about that Buckley's disease caused a gruesome death, that he was administered drugs from his administration of drugs at his execution. He had a rare blood disorder called, here it is. I didn't say this because I knew I was going to butcher it. Cavernous hemoglobina is spelled Cavernos. That's the first word. Hemangimia, Hemangim. The disease that caused tumors in the head and regular bleeding from the mouth, nose, eyes, and ears. Advocates for calling off this execution were worried that the lethal injection would cause prolonged suffering and excruciating pain. But nope, it did not. So, of course, we mourn the unnecessary unlawful execution. This is one asshole. We mourn the unnecessary unlawful execution of Russell Bucklew tonight was Cassandra Stubbs, director of the Capital Punishment Project of American Civil Liberties Union. Missouri carried out an execution that risked torture and violated international law. Despite Mr. Bucklew's remorse and exemplary prison record, the idea that killing this man, who was terminally ill and had been a model prisoner for 23 years, was worth the strain of our democracy and our humanity is a disgrace. No. How about poor Michael? And how about his poor kids who had to see this guy come in their house and murder him? Nobody thought about that. Swingle, the former prosecutor, said Bucklew's death row was in a stark contrast to the violent death of his victim. Like I said, Michael Sanders, who was shot in front of his former girlfriend and children. Now, they said it was his girlfriend, but there was nothing stating that they were actually seeing each other, that she was looking for refugee from Mr. Russell, who was acting like a maniac because she wanted to leave him. But yeah, there it is. But sadly, Michelle was not able. She was not there. Her family did not show up to the execution, or she neither was there. But sadly, and I hate to report this poor girl, on, let's see. So I'm gonna read the newspaper. As deputies with the Perry County Sheriff's Department investigate a murder-suicide, they find the victim was close to losing her life in a shooting 13 years ago. So, Michelle. According to Sheriff Gary Schroff, 33-year-old Stephanie Shuffit, Shuffit, that's our girl. Her name was Stephanie Ray when she was with Russell, but she had got remarried to this other asshole, John Shuffit. But a 33-year-old Shuffit was outside her home working on a lawnmower when her soon-to-be ex-husband, 53-year-old John Shuffit, pulled up to the home, got out of his car, and shot her in the chest using a 30-30 rifle. The sheriff said the man then drove to another location about 10 miles away near Silver Lake and shot and killed himself. There were children at the home at the time of the shooting, ages 11 through 16, but they said that they were not threatened. They weren't hurt at all. None of the children were injured. The Perry County Division of Family Services was contacted, according to the sheriff, and arrangements for them were made, so they moved in with their family. So this poor girl, I'm assuming because he's the one, the husband, John, was the one who actually filed for divorce. It wasn't her, and I guess, I don't know what snapped in him. I couldn't really find no really detailed information about that, but maybe, the poor girl went through a lot. She probably was going through all kinds of depression and was just and he couldn't handle it. It takes a special guy to be able to do that. But anyhow, there you go. There's the story of Michelle Ray, Michael Sanders, and the asshole who ruined their life. And poor ruined this poor girl until she died in 2009 or murdered. So, if you like to tell that story, like I said, it's been a while since I did an episode. I've been trying to really research on these other cases. It seems like I forgot how to record. But if you do like mine, you could put it up, put up with this. Go ahead and rate and review me anywhere you can. But mainly, I would love for you just to share me. Share me with friends. Tell other people about me. I also have a YouTube channel. You can find me Truck Stop Murder and True Crime Pod. Truck Stop Murder and True Crime on YouTube, which I'm slowly uploading all my videos on. Eventually, I'll have more detailed videos. Right now, it's just a plain picture of mine, but shoot, I barely have time to do this. Also, you can find all my social media accounts at my website at truckstopmurder.com, or you can PayPal me there too. Also, there's an app called Buy Me a Cup of Coffee. You use that, Buy Me a Cup of Coffee / Truck Stop Murder, or Patreon. You could do that as well. Truck Stop Murder and True Crime Podcast on Patreon. And I promise by next month I will have some Patreon episodes up. So, this is something you could help me out. Enjoy, listen, share, rate, review, and be back next week. And as always, you can't fix stupid, but you can sure numb it with a 2x4. I am out of here.